Assalamu alaikum, my dear student. I expect you are staying at home and you are safe and sound and enjoying our online class program Amader Pathshala. So, welcome to Amader Pathshala. This is the class especially for 11 and 12 class students, but as this is the basic item I am going to teach you today, so the school level students will also be benefited from this class. So, let us get started. Our today's topic is narration. So, what is the narration and what is the utility of narration in our life? Let us see a picture first. You are looking at the picture. This is a picture of a narration, practical using of this item here. We see a woman is narrating a story and her children are the listener. So, in this section we must have two characters. One is speaker and another is the listener. So, the activities between the speaker and the listener is the narration. So, what is the accurate definition of narration, my students? Narration is the use of a written or spoken commentary to convey a story to an audience. So, it can be written or it can be spoken commentary. So, this is the narration. Usually in English grammar we have two types of narration. One is direct narration and another is indirect narration. So, my students, what is direct narration and what is indirect narration? We have to be clarified first of them. Direct narration says it is the method in which the actual words of the speaker are reported within inverted comma. So, within inverted comma we usually find the direct speech or actual or direct words spoken by a subject, and this part usually is kept within inverted comma, my students. For example, here we see Justin says he is my friend. So, here the speaker Justin and his direct words or sentence produced by him or spoken by him is he is my friend. So, this is the example of direct narration. Here we will find a subject first, usually according to the sentence, assertive sentence, and then verb, and then the direct speech will be kept within the inverted comma. So, first and last you will have the inverted comma. This is an example of direct narration. So, what can be the indirect narration and how can we identify it is an indirect narration, my student? Indirect narration, it is the method in which the idea of the speaker's words is reported within using his actual words. So, here we will find no inverted comma, and for example, Justin says, according to the first sentence, Justin says that is a conjunction here. So, in assertive sentence that is usually used as a conjunction. Then he is my friend. So, this is the example of indirect narration. So, we have a number of important roles to be known here to be expert in this section. So, we have to know the rules of solving the problem of narration. For example, direct speech to indirect speech. Another example. So, here we found another example from direct speech to indirect speech. Direct speech, Neela said to Shaun. Here we find Neela is the speaker, I mean subject, and said to is a verb, and this is assertive sentence, and Shaun is the object here, and he is the listener here. Next, direct speech, I shall meet you tomorrow. In the inverted comma, if we find first person, it will be matched with the subject of the reporting verb. So, this verb is known as the reporting verb, and within the sentence, within the inverted comma, we find the sentence that is known as reported speech. So, in the reported speech, if we find any first person, it will be matched with the subject of the reporting verb, and if we find any second person, it will be matched with the object of the reporting verb. So, here I means Neela and you means Shaun. So, Neela said to Shaun, I shall meet you tomorrow. And if we like to turn it into indirect speech, we have to use tell or say. According to tense, as it is past tense, we have used here told. So, told or said to can be used in indirect speech. So, Neela said to Shaun, and from this one we have to write Neela told Shaun, then conjunction that. According to the sentence, we have to use conjunctions. In assertive sentence, usually we use that as a conjunction of indirect sentence. So, Neela told Shaun that she, I will be matched with the subject Neela. As Neela we found here in noun form, so pronoun form will be used here. So, here she means Neela, I means Neela. So, according to I matched with the Neela, we have used here she as subjective form as subject. So, Neela told Shaun that she, and shall. Shall is a modal auxiliary verb, you know my student. Shall will be transferred to should, will be would, can will be could. We will learn it in our later roles. Next, shall, from for I we used here shall, and as we have used here she instead of I, so would will be the correct word instead of shall here, you know my student. And as they are the modal auxiliary, always V1 will be used here, meet, him, then him. From you we have written here him. Why? Because you second person means Shaun. So, the pronoun of Shaun is he, subjective form, his possessive form, and him objective form. As the word you has been used here as an object of the meet verb, so him is the objective form of he, so him has been used here, and tomorrow will be turned into the next day. So, according to the roles, we have used here the next day. So, from direct speech, Neela said to Shaun, I shall meet you tomorrow. In indirect speech, Neela told Shaun that she would meet him the next day. In this way, we have to change sentences from direct speech to indirect speech, my students. But we have a number of roles. Let us see what are the roles that are acting behind it. Verbs and conjunction of indirect narration. From direct narration to indirect narration, when you like to use sentence wise reporting verb and sentence wise conjunction, we have to follow the chart I am going to show you now. So, the first box, sentence of indirect narration. Here we found assertive sentence. So, in assertive sentence, what will be the reporting verbs and objects and conjunction as that. So, conjunction or sometimes preposition can be used here, but here in assertive sentence we have found here conjunction that. Reporting verb of indirect narration, say to or tell. Anyone can be used in assertive sentence, my students. You have to keep them in mind. Our next one says sentence of indirect narration, interrogative sentence. If we find any interrogative sentence, ask will be used as reporting verb, my students, and the conjunction will be used if or WH words. So, in reported space, if we find the space starting with any be verb or auxiliary verb, then if will be the correct conjunction here, and if we find the reported space starting with any WH word, that means who, which, what, etc., we have to keep the WH word there. And let us see another form. If we find the sentence imperative starting with let, you know the imperative sentence can be used in different ways or found in different ways. Sometimes we find imperative sentence starting with V1, sometimes we find them starting with let, or sometimes don't or never, etc. So, imperative sentence starting with let, reporting verb will be used tell or request plus object, and the conjunction will be that. And our next roles, imperative sentence but starting with let's. If we find the imperative sentence starting with let, the reporting verb of the narration, indirect one, will be proposed to or suggests plus object, and the conjunction will be that. So, you have to keep them in mind. And imperative sentence, if the sentence is starting with other verbs, the reporting verb of the indirect narration can be ordered according to the meaning of the sentence, command, advise, request, tell, etc. plus object. And in the place of conjunction, we usually use to, because after to we have to use V1 of the sentence. So, the three roles of imperative sentence, this is very important to be kept in mind by student. Our next role says exclamatory sentence. If we find any exclamatory sentence, the reporting verb will be used claim with exclaim with joy if the situation is found joyful or positive. And sometimes according to the situation, we can use exclaimed with wonder, then exclaimed with sorrow, then exclaimed with surprise, and exclaimed with shame according to the situation and meaning of the sentence. We have to use different types of reporting verb in exclamatory sentence, but the conjunction is the same, that will be used there, my student. Next row says optative sentence. In optative sentence, usually two reporting verb is used there, wish or pray. If we find the subject is father, mother or near and dear ones of the listener, then we have to use pray, and if we find other person as subject, we have to use wish, and the conjunction will be that, my students. So, you have to keep in mind. Next, change of person. So, I told you before that the person change will be based on the first person, second person and third person. Third person usually is not changed. In the reported space, the first person will be matched according to the subject of the reporting verb, and second person of the reported space will be matched with the object of the reporting verb, but usually third person is not matched or changed. So, let us see reported space or reporting verb. First person will be changed according to the subject, and second person of the reported space will be changed according to the object of the reporting verb, and third person of the reported space will not be changed. So, no change. So, first person and second person will be changed. Keep in mind, my students. For example, in direct, he said to the lady. So, he third person and lady is also third person here. But in reported space, you look a little bit like my mother. In reported space, we found here second person you. So, second person will be matched with the object of the reporting verb. So, you means here the lady, a little bit like my mother, like my mother. So, here we found he said to the lady means he told the lady. We could also write here he said to the lady, it also could be correct. So, he told the lady that you means the lady means she. So, she looked a little bit like my mother. My is a first person. So, my will be matched with he. So, my is a possessive form. So, what is the possessive form of he? That is his. So, my mother means his mother. In this way, we have to change the person matching with the subject and object of the reporting verb, my student. Change of adverbials. Sometimes we have to change the adverbials given in the direct space from the from the direct speech to indirect speech. Sometimes ago in an example, I told you tomorrow has been changed there the next day. So now there are some examples from direct to indirect. If we find these words or phrases in direct speech, we have to change them according to the rules in indirect. In direct, if we find now, it will be then, this will be that, ago will be before, come will be go, yesterday will be the previous day or the day before, tonight will be that night, last will be the previous, my student. So there were some other items that should be learnt by heart as well. Here will be there, this will be those, hence will be thence, thus will be so or in that way, but so is usual. Today will be that day or the same day. Tomorrow is the next day or the following day. Yet will be till then. Next will be the following. So, according to these rules, we have to change some adverbials from direct narration to indirect narration. We have another tips or notes. Note, if come means come to me, means myself or self, it won't be changed, my student. And if we find in direct narration the word sir, instead of sir, we have to use respectfully or with respect or addressing him as sir. If we find sorry in direct narration, we can use apologize in indirect narration. There are some other rules here. Change of tense in reported speech. So, reported speech tense change means if we find the reported speech in left side tenses, it will be changed into the right side tenses. But the condition is the reporting verb should be past. Look at the board. Present indefinite tense will be changed into past indefinite tense. Present continuous tense will be changed into past continuous tense. Present perfect tense will be past perfect tense. So, in this way, we have to change the tenses. Another examples, present perfect tense will be past perfect tense. Present perfect continuous tense will be past perfect continuous tense. Next, past indefinite tense will be past perfect tense, and past continuous tense will be past perfect continuous tense. So, any form of present tense will be the same form of past tense, and regarding past tense, two form will be changed only. Past indefinite tense will be past perfect tense, and past continuous tense will be past perfect continuous tense, and some modal auxiliary verbs will also be changed according to the rules. For example, can will be could, may will be might, shall will be should, will be would, must will be had to sometimes or must sometimes. Usually we find any obligation or any suggestions or any ethical something, must will not be changed. From must, it will be also must. And if we find any obligation to do something, usually we have to use had to, my student. Let us see another changing tense of reported speech. So, changing of tense of reported speech. In direct speech, if the reporting verb is present indefinite tense or present perfect tense or future tense, or the tense of the reported speech will not be changed. I told you some time ago that the tense of the reported speech will be changed if we find the reporting verb past tense, but if we find the reporting verb other tenses rather than past tense, so the tense will not be changed within the reported speech. For example, William has said, I have done my duty. Here has said is present perfect tense. This is not past indefinite tense or past tense. So, the change of the reported speech. So, the tense William has said, I have done my duty. So, this is present perfect tense, and I have done my duty, this is present perfect tense as well. As we found here no past tense, so tense will not be changed here. So, William has said that he has done his duty, my student. So, subject first person means William, so he, and has done tense is same, his duty. So, if we find other tenses, the tense of the reported speech will not be changed, my student. Our next example, Shimu will say she writes a letter. This is future tense. So, the tense of the reported speech will not be changed. Shimu will say that she writes a letter, writes. So, same, not has been changed. Topu says I am ill. So, says is not past tense, this is present tense. So, the tense will not be changed here. So, Topu says that she is ill. So, according to I we used am, according to she we have used here is. Next, if the reporting verb is past tense, present indefinite tense will be past indefinite tense according to the chart I showed you sometimes ago. Tanvir said, I wrote a letter. So, as said is past tense, wrote will be changed according to the rules. So, Tanvir said that he from write we have written here wrote, because it was present indefinite tense, it will be changed into past indefinite tense. So, Tanvir said that I means he, write means wrote a letter. So, my students, in this way we have to change the narration from direct to indirect, and in HSC level sometimes you will be asked to answer the question from indirect narration to direct narration. If we learn one side, we will be able to change it from another side. It won't be difficult for you, my students. So, there are also some other rules, you will learn it from my next class. So, until then, have a nice time and thank you for being with me. Allah Hafiz.